Good morning, YouTube. This is On Location, coming at you live from the Frog Prepper compound. And it's really early in the morning, and I got up to drink some coffee. And wanted to talk to you today about something that's been on my mind for about a week or two. Watch the news a lot. I'm on YouTube a lot, and a topic that kept coming up and is forgiveness. And recently, we had this boy, angry man, shoot up this church down in Charleston and killed several people, 9 people, including one of our state senators or house reps, but Senator Pinckney. But and several of the victims' family came out publicly and said that they forgave this boy, and certain, not everybody, but there were several people that were encouraged by that, but there were also several people that were upset by that. And after them people spoke their words of forgiveness, even the judge that was on the case encouraged forgiveness. And that caused a lot of outrage with certain people in the public and on YouTube. Some said that meant that they took that to mean that the shooting was a hoax and it didn't even actually happen, because nobody could forgive such a thing. Others were offended that the judge would and those victims would say such a thing about forgiving the boy. Because he had done such a horrible thing. And they said that they would never forgive him. Today I want to talk to you about forgiveness, because I think there's some misperceptions about it. I am sort of an expert in the field. Unfortunately, not because I'm a doctor or a scientist, but because of experience on both sides of it. I've experienced several years of non-forgiveness and being angry at things people had done to me. And I'm an expert in that because I can attest to the problems it's caused me and to the problems it has not caused the people that I had bitterness for. That's a key. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And I've also experienced forgiveness where I have forgiven people, and the freedom and the burden that is lifted from me spiritually, mentally, and physically. First off, let me clear up this misconception, and I'll use this tragic event that happened in Charleston as an example. When the victims' families of the families that this young man brutally murdered, when they chose to forgive him, and let me make this statement very, very clear, that does not imply that they did not want him to be punished. Okay, let me say that again. That does not imply that they don't think he should be punished. Okay, nobody in their right mind thinks that boy should not be punished. Okay, forgiveness does not imply that they do not want justice served on him. Okay, Okay, let me make another point about forgiveness. When you, or I choose to forgive somebody for an offense, no matter how bad it was, you are not letting them off of the hook. Now, that letting them off the hook may be part of forgiveness, but what you are really doing is letting yourself off the hook. Okay? When those families chose to forgive that boy, or when they chose to speak that and to start that process, forgiveness is a process. For the most part, it doesn't happen just in that second. They started a process of stop being victims. In other words, they are lifting that burden off of their shoulders. They're letting their self off the hook. He still has to pay for what he did. He still has to live with what he did. But they are letting their self free of that bitterness. Here's a definition of bitterness for you. And I've heard this several times, but one lady I can think of that said it like this: bitterness is you drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. Okay? Some of you are drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die, and they're already dead. Okay? It could be your mother, your father, ex-wives, ex-husbands. You are still victimizing yourself, and they've moved on, or they're dead. I seen, recently, I don't even remember what town. I think it was maybe Missouri or something like that. A city councilman that got so upset with a civil. He's a black man, and he is so bitter and angry at a Civil War veteran. There were some Civil War veterans buried in his town that he was the city councilman over, and he wanted them moved out of the city, and he wanted their graves dug up and moved, and I don't want to get into the politics or the opinion. I know there's strong opinions on both sides of the Civil War, and that's not what this is about. But let me tell some of you something. Those Civil War veterans have been dead for over 100 years. Their bodies are probably fully decomposed, and some of you are still allowing them inside of your head. And think about other ones, other people. You're mad at politicians. Some of you are still angry at Bill Clinton or Ronald Reagan or George Bush for their policies when they were presidents. Let me tell you something. Bush is bass fishing in Texas right now. He don't care. He's still victimizing you. And some of you, your fathers are still victimizing you, or your ex-wife or your ex-husband. They're still in your head, and they're causing you to lose sleep. And they don't care about you. And so I want you to look at, if whoever sees this video, I want you to just think about this. Forgiveness is not something you're doing for other people. It's something you're doing for yourself. And you don't have to take my word for it. Everybody on the planet knows how to use a Google now. Just go on Google and just type something to this effect in. medical problems associated with bitterness. Bitterness is the close cousin to unforgiveness, because when you refuse to forgive, you are choosing to hold bitterness, and you think that you're doing that because the what this person did to you is so severe, or what they did to your family members. Some of you have bitterness because of what somebody done to a family member or a friend. You're not only picking up your own bitterness, you're picking up somebody else's bitterness. And some of you might watch this and say, "You idiot, are you kidding me? You expect me to forgive somebody that done such a horrible thing?" Well, it's up to you. You think you're hurting them? Just think about that for a minute. But just type this in Google: medical problems associated with bitterness, or medical problems associated with unforgiveness. Now, some of you know I'm a Christian and I have spiritual beliefs about forgiveness. Okay? But that's not the point of this video. If you want to know about that, message me. We'll talk about it from a scriptural, spiritual standpoint. But the point of this video is secular in nature, and it's selfish in nature. Okay? Now think about that. Forgiveness, when you choose to forgive somebody, you can do it from a selfish standpoint. You don't even have to tell them that you forgive them. Okay? But medical problems associated with bitterness and unforgiveness, I already did this. Heart disease is made worse. Diabetes. I've talked to several doctors that said certain people that are plagued with cancer, their cancer is made worse because of bitterness. There's people that are forgiving people that don't hold on to bitterness, that are more likely to get healed of it. A lot of you on my channel are watching it for the DDD stuff, for the back problem stuff. Just think about it. When you watch certain politicians on the news, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, or if you're a conservative or a liberal, and certain politicians come on the news, and you tense up. Well, that's no good. Blah, blah, blah. Take another drink of that poison, sir. Take another drink of that poison, man. Because meanwhile, these people that are causing you muscle spasms, they don't know you exist, and they don't care, but they're making your back hurt. That's pretty bad, and that should piss you off. And me, it pisses me off enough to want to change it, because I don't want the policy of somebody that doesn't even care about me to hurt me. And just think about it. Those of you with back problems, when you get upset, when you get angry, when you think about that person or that policy or that individual, your back starts to hurt because your muscles are getting tense. They're exactly the opposite of what they need to be for your healing. So this video is about forgiveness or lack of, and just think about it. Don't take it from a Christian perspective if you're not a Christian. There are multiple scientific studies that prove bitterness and unforgiveness cause health problems. You can ask any psychiatrist, any kind of therapist, either Christian or secular, about people that hold on to unforgiveness and refuse to forgive. They can't get past their depression. Getting past your depression, you are going to have to do this. And some of you, again, I've seen this on YouTube, you are refusing to forgive somebody that you don't even know the victims. you saw it on the news or something, and you think that by forgiving somebody that you are somehow diminishing what they did. You're not diminishing what they did. The only thing you're doing is victimizing yourself. I know a pastor I heard many years ago, and an old man had died, and he performed the funeral of an old man. And the man had I think two daughters, maybe three, but I'm just going to say two for this point. And at the funeral, the two daughters, who were in their 50s or 60s, started literally dancing and cheering, and their father's death and burial. And this pastor asked them, why does that make you so happy? And they said, that blankety blank blank molested us and sexually abused us when we were children. And he's finally dead. And this pastor said, he's not dead to you. And they said, what? And he said, whatever he done to you when you were a little girl, he's still doing to you. And he is still victimizing you. Let yourself go. That's all on this. Have a great day. Be blessed. Thank you for watching. Click the like button if you would. It kind of helps out my channel and helps it grow. Thank you to several new subscribers. A lot of you are I think wanting to see the back pain videos and stuff. Keep the questions coming. I know some of you I've missed. Sometimes the questions do not come through on my Google feed. I answer everyone that I see.